I've never seen anything like it before, and to attempt to hit the ball out of there is pure madness.
The winner of the gold medal and the champion golfer of the year is Cameron Smith.
This is the one that I've always wanted to win since I was a little kid. So it just feels pretty amazing to be able to get it done today.
It's amazing that it's my destiny to be the first Aussie to win. Just incredible.
Hello and welcome to episode 34 of Playing from the Tips, the Golf Australia magazine preview and tipping podcast, where the ink isn't even dry on the Ryder Cup post-mortem, yet we push ahead with all of this week's action. Jimmy Emanuel here in the pilot seat, guiding the so-called experts on our journey around the world of golf that includes the resumption of the PGA Tour of Australasia, the always enjoyable Dunhill links in Scotland, the PGA Tour in Mississippi, LPGA in Texas, and Asian Tour in Singapore. Joining me on that journey is firstly the man that called it as a likely tie in Italy and couldn't have been more wrong.
Could have been.
The conspicuously hatless, as we record, Rod Murray.
Could have been.
Welcome.
Could have been 17.5, 10.5. Could have easily been more wrong. Plenty of opportunity to be more wrong. Could have been, 28-0?
Oh, it couldn't have been 28 now.
That seems unlikely.
It seems unlikely.
27.5 to a half. I tell you what,
it was a chance,
28-0 was on the cards after the Friday foursomes in the morning.
And next, we are once again without Adrian Logue as he saunters around the globe.
Saunters.
He's a saunterer.
He's a saunterer. Yeah.
So, like Justin Rose triumphantly returning to the Ryder Cup stage, we welcome back the curator of the Aussie Golfer blog and the man behind online golf fantasy platform Teepster, Michael Green. Greenie, welcome.
Hello, guys. Thanks for having me again.
Captain's
Thanks
pick.
for having me back.
Well done.
Captain's pick, absolutely.
Pick. Yeah, nice work.
Yeah. There was positive reviews of Greenie. There's never been a positive review of Logue.
Thanks for listening, Mrs. Green.
The Green kids are getting into their golf. So.
Good stuff. Good of you to come along, Greenie. How are you, mate?
I'm good. I didn't think about it, but I am wearing a cap in support.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Greenie's getting paid.
We should start waving ours at
that's right.
We had some.
If we had them. We, of course, can't go ahead without some brief thoughts on an exciting and at times quite unbelievable week at the Ryder Cup.
Wow.
Major takeaways apart from Hatgate and all that seems...
I'll be honest with you, they're the things that make the Ryder Cup interesting. The last bunch of Ryder Cups have essentially been duds. These blowout results are not much fun. I was, cheering for Europe. It's great Europe, your team won, but it's not that interesting when it's these blowouts. And what makes it is the spice. Rory giving to be held back in the car park by Shane Lowry. Who had that on their dance card?
Nobody.
For the 2023 Ryder Cup. And I've got to tell you, I'm all for it. With Tiger's caddy, of all people. You think he knows well.
He was scrapping with bones in the car park.
Yeah, well, nobody's going to hit bones, are they?
Can I suggest that Rory might not be much of a scrapper and I'd back Shane Lowry in all day.
Rory might have been that bloke, that mate of yours, who as soon as he sees you're there, he's like, right, a bit of lip time here.
Yeah,
but before
right.
you're there, he's like, no, that's all good. But honestly, I mean, that's a bit too far, obviously. That's what makes the Ryder Cup interesting, is the real spirit. And this whole debate about money, and I think there's a case to be made for players that there's a lot of money generated and they're the stars of the show, they don't get much. I get that case. Once that happens, I think it inevitably will, it's going to lose a lot of what we see. The appeal of it for the fans is the fact they don't get paid, they are only playing, which is probably partly why a lot of the Americans aren't that interested. It's a much more individualistic sort of culture.
Eamon Lynch wrote very well yesterday about the Ryder Cup is about to undergo a huge change in what it is and how that all works, and it'll be fascinating to watch. But the golf was really good too from both sides at times. It was really good to see guys like Max Homa was a star for the Americans on a losing team, which is great to see for a guy who's...
And animated, which is great to see.
Yeah, exactly. And his caddy with one of the greatest caddy calls coming down his singles match and got him to take an unplayable drop to then he had to hole a putt to win his... That is some trust.
That's caddy kahunas right
there.
That
is shout out to Joe Greiner.
Well
that was impressive. Greenie, you catch much of it while you were sauntering yourself around the Australian coast?
Yes, I did. I was completely... And I thought the singles might be not as interesting as it turned out to be. It was, I suppose Europe are always going to win it. But there's a couple of moments there where you thought, well, maybe the US could stage some sort of fight back. I was kind of disappointed that Ricky Fowler
conceded the cup.
Gave that putt at the end, sort of lost a bit of drama. bit of an anticlimax.
If you're the guy who's winning the point, you want to hold the putt too.
Yeah.
It takes a lot out of it.
Ricky would have been trying to do the right thing. He would have had the Jacqueline Nicholas thing in mind, or that sort of stuff. I'm sure, but you're right.
Yep.
That kind of
Yep.
it was it was a good call, but at the wrong time.
Yeah,
So-
it was a week with all sorts of storylines, which was really good because, as you said, those team events when they don't have that is when it's flat.
And look, I think we can all agree, and the point's been made ad nauseum since the last putt was holed. Beth Page Black is going to be off the charts in terms of abuse and we are approaching the time. This is a point that Huggy made a few. We are approaching a time where at some point a player is going to say, you know what, I don't want to be part of this circus anymore.
Yeah.
The crowd behaviour is just, and you would expect that New York will be the worst example of that, as it was when the President's Cup.
The
was
President's Cup at Liberty National is the horror show that
Mark
everyone's
Leishman's wife, who's American, wrote a piece for a magazine and said, I'm ashamed to be American.
Yeah.
Now, how bad does it have to be for someone to do that?
Exactly. It's not pleasant. So that is going to be something to watch. Also, shout out on last week, Travis Smythe for another top 10 in Asia and Hannah Green for a top 10 in the LPGA. And, of course, that was in Arkansas, so for your benefit, Rod, woo pig suey.
Woo pig suey, yeah.
Let's move ahead, and the PGA Tour of Australasia gets back to work after a break following a couple of events earlier in the year, and now progresses almost uninterrupted through till Christmas, which is great for all of us here and great to have it on the TV every weekend. This week is the start of a 2-week West Australian swing with the Nexus, AdvertiseNet, Bowra and O'Day WA Open.
There'll be questions afterwards, so I hope you've made notes of all of that.
There's not been much on the sponsor watch side this week. Historic tournament, this one. It's got an incredible honour roll of winners, actually, and marks the first time the WA Open will be at Joondalup Resort.
That'll be really interesting to watch.
Really good. So Quarry Lake combination is the two nines from the 27 holes there this week. Kind of considered generally as the second best combination at Joondalup. Lake 9 will sort of offer up a lot of birdies, and that'll likely be where score made. Quarry 9 is kind of the star of this combination.
Picturesque.
It's cool. Probably some of Robert Trent Jones's Junior's finest work, I'd say. Old Quarry, as the name would suggest. Second, third, and fourth are the standouts. 4 is the one with the giant bunker lip that everyone who goes there wants to go down and hit a shot. And I noticed someone unkindly took a photo of Matt Griffin down there and said big bunker or small man yesterday.
It's
Very unkind.
a harsh but fair question.
I actually once played there with Gavin Kirkman, CEO of the PGA of Australia. He got up and down from down there.
Wow.
And you've never seen a happier human being. And we went to a couple of functions during the old World Super 6 Perth.
Yeah, nice.
And every single person, I was dragged into a conversation. Tell them about it, Jimmy.
It's better than a hole in one. I've got to tell you quickly on the side. You've been to the Quarry 9, I take it, Greenie? Anyone who's played there will know this. The par 3 that starts that loop
The second.
has a bunker on its right-hand side.
Second, I think, yeah.
Yeah, right-hand side, I think?
Yes.
Anyway, across the other side of the quarry is the fourth green.
Yes.
The fourth is an almost drivable par 4. I used to remember a bloke called Robert Wainwright, played off +2, played a lot of Joondalup. He played with a guy who drove it into that par 3 bunker off the par 4 tee.
Oh, no.
And then had the bunker shot across the quarry, which he got 10 feet past the flag and hold it for birdie. Wainwright said it's the greatest 3 he's ever seen in his life, and the longest because the walk from the bunker off the left of to get around to the fourth green was about 15 minutes.
One of those places that everyone who's played there has got a story about Joondalup. So it'll be a good tournament venue. I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes this week.
It'll look great on TV.
Absolutely it will, yeah.
Golf WA have just released a video of Brett Rumford giving a bunker masterclass out of that bunker. Couldn't get a better person to do it.
That's something to watch as you go to sleep.
It's a spectator sport in its own right, isn't it? Brett Rumford in a bunker.
Oh, absolutely. In terms of the field, Brett Rumford is worth mentioning because he makes a competitive return. He now does a lot of teaching and has completed his membership for the PGA of Australia these days.
Bridging course, I think they call it.
Yeah, not anymore. It's a membership pathway program. It's not a traineeship anymore, so I don't know if they still call it bridging course. But in terms of the field, there is a few of the regulars from the Australasian Tour that you'd expect that are missing because a lot get Dunhill Links starts this week, and there's a lot in Asia too, to be fair. But still a strong field of winners of players, including tour winners like Jake McLeod, Lockie Barker, Louis Doblar, Brett Coletta, Blake Windred. Worth watching this week and will get plenty of attention. Harrison Crowe makes his professional debut this week at the WA Open. I spoke to him just about an hour ago and very excited and sitting in the locker room as we had a chat, but Crowe will be worth watching this week. Definitely. He's made the turn to try and take advantage of the second year of his winner's exemption on the tour here to then keep his card, but also potentially get some status overseas at the end of the Order of Merit. There'd also be a few sore heads in the field because Jared Felton's Bucks party was on last weekend in Perth, so a fair few players went early. So I'd say there'd be a few having a slow start to the week.
Maybe.
So anyone looking to maybe try and pick a winner, maybe go through the people who are Jared's friends list and see what you think of that.
Was that a ploy by him? I wonder how Jared was at his own Bucks party. If he was on the waters early, that's a ploy to get home this week in the tournament. That's what's happened there.
Let's go around the table and get some tips. Greenie, you're somewhat of a tipping specialist, given you've got a business involvement. Let's start with you.
I try. Yeah, I mean, when you look at these things, you look at past player experience at that particular tournament and things like that. And then
going wrong.
Yeah, I was thinking about some young guns, but I ended up going with Scott Strange, actually. He had one bad round at the Northern Territory PGA a few weeks back, and an experienced head. I'm going to go with him as my pick.
One of the genuine nice guys.
Absolutely.
Strange.
I don't hate thinking there either because there's a lot of amateurs in this field, a lot of very inexperienced professionals, and very hard for those guys to perform on this stage.
Tough golf course. If it gets windy, it's really, really hard. So
it's an intimidating environment for a first up start. So don't hate Scott Strange.
Rod, your thoughts?
I'm going to go with someone who's in between. I like Elvis Smiley. Elvis Smiley has to win something at some point soon. He knows it. We know it. It just has to happen. This will be the sort of golf course. He's got all the length. He's got all the tools. There is nothing about this golf course that will faze him. And this summer, well, I thought last summer would have been Elvis's time. And if it's not last summer, it's got to be this summer.
Yeah. I'd say ball strikers, the premium here, and Elvis is one of the better ones.
And he's got that kind of aggressive he's got the right mindset for this sort of golf course.
Absolutely.
There's a couple of shots to be had if you've got the courage to take on a shot and the ability to play. And he's got that. Absolutely. He's that sort of player. So
yeah. My player probably falls into a similar line but has had more recent success, being Lockie Barker. Won the PNG Open a couple of months ago, then knocked around playing a bit here and there. He went to Asian Tour First Stage Q School that they had in Victoria last week and went and won that as well. Blitzed them on the day one with 8 under. Drove back to Adelaide from Mount Derrimut. I was on the phone to him. I said, "Where are you?" He said, "I'm in the car. I'm driving back to Adelaide." Wow. I said, "Yeah, we've got planes."
Yeah. Yes.
So he's done that and then got on a plane to go to Perth. So bit of travel, but he looks like he's got the potential to be the David Micheluzzi this year. Really impressed by everything I've seen out of his golf game, and has the kind of game to play well there. If he got another good finish early, he's really going to charge this summer.
Confidence is huge, Jimmy. You've won a tournament. That says to you that you've thought you could do it your whole life, but you've done it. Everything changes from that point on.
When he won in PNG, and he played well in Northern Territory as well, but Daniel Gale had just too much advantage. But when he won in PNG, I watched him and I sort of thought, this guy's a winner. He's one of those guys you watch and just comfortable doing it. Yeah. And it was only afterwards that we spoke and he said, it breaks a wind drought. I can't remember winning anything back to pennant matches and stuff. Okay. So he'd been a really good player in college golf and stuff like that, just not a winner. But he looks like he's found something there.
That's a huge shift and will stand him in good stead. Good on him.
Next, let's take a trip to the home of golf for the Dunhill Links. And Rod, you're going to tell us all about it.
If you were going to play, this is very similar to the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, which everybody would be familiar with. If you're going to pick one of the two, I'd take this one. Just for the courses. What an extraordinary experience it would be to go and play here. 60 teams. Every team plays one round each at the Old Course, Carnoustie and Kingsbarns. And then there's a cut to the top 50 professionals and ties, I think. Mm-hmm. And then the last round is played on the Old Course. The amateurs get to play all 4 rounds, so someone's going to have a terrifying Sunday afternoon where they've got to play the last couple of holes in front of huge crowds and on television as their player makes a bid for the title. Just going to be... Rory played in this a few times with his dad because he wanted to play with his dad. That tells you the key to this golf tournament. That'll be good. When Kingsbarns is your worst course, things are going all right.
Of course, the other's been the Old Course and Carnoustie.
The Old Course and Carnoustie, that's exactly right. So, Ryan Fox defending. I think most of us remember Ryan Fox winning last year. Played there a number of times with Shane Warne. The two of them were great mates. Shane died earlier in the year and Ryan was pretty emotional and dedicated that win to him. This year's field, Fleetwood, Fitzpatrick and McIntyre all backing up from the Ryder Cup.
line through.
bit like Felton's Bucks party. I don't think I'm going to be on any of them, though they will all be having a good time. Although McIntyre might be inspired being back in Scotland. Who knows? We'll see.
I think
Could go either way.
from the photos I've seen, Bob McIntyre was maybe best on ground on Sunday evening. So
certainly gave a good account of himself. It seemed,
he and Tyrrell Hatton.
Yes, that's right. Tyrrell had those crazy glasses on. This, of course, is also a big one for non-golf celebrities. Apparently these people are celebrities. Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Yeah, she's an actress.
Catherine Newton.
Actress.
Gareth Bale.
Soccer player or footballer.
All playing in this tournament.
Greenie, you knew all those, didn't you?
Yeah. They're on
that
my
Catherine
contacts
Newton,
list
actually,
on
I
my
have.
phone.
On your contacts list?
Yeah.
Oh,
I have
flex.
heard of Catherine Newton because
She does a lot of work with the RNA.
She's a legitimate golfer too.
Yeah,
playing since she was a kid and really can.
Was
play.
out
So
at the
this will
Ryder
be-
Cup last week as well.
Yeah, this will be a big difference. So look, that's all part of the appeal. There's a lot of people. You get the difference between this one. It looks like the players want to be there. Pebble Beach, you often get the feeling it's like the players are kind of bunging it on for the TV cameras, and they'd really be much happier if none of these amateurs were in the field and they could just do their usual stuff. This, you don't get that. This is a real golfer's experience. Doesn't matter what level you play at. A round of golf at the old course is something you can share, and that's just magnificent. So,
Look like they want to be there despite some of the awful weather that shows up at this event every year.
don't you reckon, though, in part, if you went to Pebble Beach and it blew a hoolie and rained sideways, you'd be disappointed. If you go to the old course and go, you'd be kind of like, yeah, this is what golf in the UK is supposed to be like. It's a different attitude.
People say that about Barnbougle, but I think they're sickos.
Anyway, interesting thing this week, 4 live players have got invites. Taylor Gooch, Louis Westhazen, Hudson Swafford and Peter Uihlein. Now, Uihlein was a long-time European Tour player and played this event many times in the past. But it's interesting the politics of that happening. None of these guys, I don't think, are banned from the European Tour. So there's no, or the DP World Tour it is now. The major sponsor here, obviously, Dunhill. The Dunhill parent company is owned by a South African billionaire called Johan Rupert, who might be one of the most influential people in golf. And it seems to be that he's the one who's extended these invites or asked for these invites to be extended. So is that some sort of olive branch between the establishment and Live? And that whole thing is all still up in the air.
I think this
have
is
to read something into it.
This is a case of Johan Rupert, who this is his tournament.
It's his
South
tournament.
African billionaire, owner of Dunhill, which is a clothing brand.
Yep.
Just side note.
I only knew him for cigarettes. That's
Yeah,
terrible. I know. But that's all I've ever
that's
known him
right.
for was cigarettes.
But he is a very powerful man in the world of golf. And I think even Louis Oosthuizen is playing with Johan as
He
his
probably
amateur
is.
partner.
Maybe they're only for a long time. But
So I think this is more his power. Didn't go unnoticed when the entries and stuff went in, but it hasn't really developed much since then. So we'll see what happens with it.
yeah, indeed. Look, put it this way. There's not an influential phone number in the world of golf that wouldn't be in Johan Rupert's phone.
No.
If he wanted to ring Tiger Woods tomorrow, he just would. He's in that kind of position. So,
Yeah.
really interesting stuff. And he moves and shakes amongst the Augusta members and all that sort of stuff. So, and the RNA. And so anyway, we'll see.
Absolutely.
As you mentioned, Jimmy, 10 Australians in this field. The top 10 from the order of merit from the previous year qualify. So that's Micheluzzi, Tom Power-Horan, Andrew Martin, Daniel Gale, Lincoln Tye, Justin Moran, Aaron Wilkin, Hayden Barron, Nathan Barbieri, Christopher Wood. And the only other Australian in the field is Jason Scrivener. So that's a decent showing. What else do you really need to know? The old course and Carnoustie speak for themselves in terms of the course. Kingsbarns is the one who's just got a lesser profile, but
Good golf course.
really
I mean,
golf course.
The thing I always notice is that the golf courses play quite differently than they would as an open venue. Just time of year, but also you've got amateurs. So you
They have
can't-
to get them around the course.
Yeah.
You can't tuck the pins. You'd be out there all day.
Can't have it hard and fast as you'd like, and you can't have the pins in the corners. So it makes it a little bit easier.
Especially Carnoustie, because that is a golf course that can be brutal if they want to put the pins in
Yeah,
the
I mean,
corners.
in this event, Tommy Fleetwood shot 62 at Carnoustie one year. Tyrrell Hatton used to win this just for sport, and the winning score's low. But it's always a good week.
That's in its own way. That's a difficult mission in golf, though. I often wonder whether it's harder to win on a really hard golf course where pars are hard to come by, or is it actually harder to win on a golf course where every time you make a par, you fall another half a shot behind?
It's very very
Trying to-
different players who
Trying
win
to
on
keep
those
up
two different
is,
versions.
really, really hard if the scoring's low. I'm actually really looking for. I don't think we get to see a lot of Kingsbarns or Carnoustie. Most of the coverage tends to be from the old courses.
Each day you have a focus golf course in the early coverage.
Okay, cool. Well, that's good because I'd like to watch a bit of Kingsbarns this year because I'm not familiar enough with it, and it does look to be something pretty special, even though it only opened, I think, in 2000.
In the
it's
2000s for sure.
Whereas the other two have been around literally forever. Tips?
Yeah, absolutely.
Tom
Greenie, you strike me as you've played Kingsbarns. You'd be you would have been.
No, I haven't. Yeah, I was just thinking the last time I was at St Andrews, which is a tragedy, was in 2008.
The last
2008.
I was at
the last time.
The last
casual
time.
fleet.
Well, I've
there.
only been there twice, once as a kid and once as... And I saw Robert Carlson win this event. I just happened to be in Edinburgh touring with family, and I might go watch the last round. And it was fabulous watching. I mean, it'd be fabulous to play the golf course. It was fabulous watching professional golf on this golf course as well. And I need to get back. I always think is there a certain type of professional golfer that can win these events when there's so many amateur A, B celebrities playing as well. I'm not completely convinced. I think they're so professional that they just block it all out and play great golf. But my pick this week, I think I'm going to go with Billy Horschel. He seems to have embraced he keeps talking about it and embraces and loves links golf and pure golf, I'd say, in some ways. And he's had a couple of top 20s in his last 2 starts and was tied for 10th here last year. So I'm going with Billy.
I think that's a really good call. I had Billy on my list of potentials. There's a lot of players, well, not a lot, but Ryder Cup and stuff last week, and a lot of factors. And Billy, I would never say would be one of my guys to pick for an Open, but when they set the golf courses up like this, I'd say it's a bit more of a chance.
Yeah, possibly. And look, he's shown a real commitment to the European Tour, the DP Tour. He's played
Absolutely.
a lot of golf over there. He goes over this time of year. He supports one of the soccer teams. Yeah, there's good publicity in it for him, but you're not doing that just for kicks. He's doing it because he enjoys it, and that's a huge, particularly a week like this. For pros who, let's be honest, for most of them, pro-ams are like pulling their own teeth.
Absolutely.
Awful days. But this is somewhat different. And it's a testament to that, I think, this event.
Also, shout out to Robert Carlson, Greeny. He was one of my favourite players to watch in that period.
Yeah.
What was
just such a pure ball striker.
6'5" and nothing on him.
Before he hit it, he always pushed his chest out and his shoulders went back, and then he gripped it like that. Oh,
remember he got the yips, couldn't take the club away.
Scary.
Mid-tournament, couldn't take the driver back.
Yep.
Could not take the club back, had to walk off the golf course.
Yep.
Extraordinary.
Scary. Tip from you, Rod?
I'm going to go with Tom McKibben.
Oh, nice. Rory's mate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. Why not?
Just why not?
Why not?
Okay, I like that.
Good on you, Tom.
On you, Tom.
I did think about Alex Fitzpatrick too. So
I'm taking Alex Fitzpatrick.
Okay, you can have Alex Fitzpatrick.
So there we go. So we've had diversity there.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Exactly the sort of tournament that I think Alex Fitzpatrick's going to play well. He's playing really good golf.
Agreed.
He is on this verge of, getting better and better. I don't think he'll ever quite be his brother, but he's got a lot of ability.
Got that to drive him though.
Yeah,
and he's not his brother. He's a very different player.
Very
he's
different
establishing himself, and he's working. It's a bit like Tim Zhu and Kostya Zhu.
Yep.
There's a time when you've got to climb out from there, and I think he's doing a terrific job of it.
I wouldn't have taken you for a pugilist fan.
Funnily enough, there used to be a boxing podcast recorded at the studio here, and I wasn't so much taking interest, but you get exposed to that sort of stuff. And I thought it was a really good point someone made once about Tim Zhu, which is and we've seen it with Nicholas's kids. It's hard to climb out from the shadow of a sibling or a father or somebody who's done. You've got to at some point you've got to take control and say, right, this is my career, I'm doing it. And I reckon Alex Fitzpatrick's done that.
Yeah, I think he's very much.
And speaking of sort of kids who have famous fathers, I assume you guys had Ryan Fox on your list for this week. I mean, he seems like. Right?
After that win the other day, it was
okay.
I think like the Ryder Cup, I think Foxy might have celebrated quite well. But he'd have to be a chance. I mean, he obviously plays really well here. He loves
links golf. I mean, he hits it all over the park at times, and you can get away with that a little bit in links golf.
He's also had a really busy 2 years, and I think as the year slows down, I think Foxy will maybe have a little quieter back end of the year. It's hard to stay at that level, and he's getting ready to go play PGA Tour stuff next year as well.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be a surprise to see Foxy right there. No. Perfect game for it. We've mentioned the Ryder Cup a few times, so speaking of Ryder Cup players, Ludwig Aubert kind of headlines the Sanderson Farms Championship on the PGA Tour, despite it being just his 8th start.
Who had that on their dance card in March?
I think Luke Donald, from the sounds of things, of when he first saw him tee it up. But he is making the journey, only one doing so because I'm just trying to rack my brain as to who it was who withdrew. Nikolai Højgaard was supposed to play this, but he's decided
he got stuck at McIntyre's table and can't get there now.
Maybe I don't want to get on the plane after that. Ludwig is there. Big ask after a week like that.
Can't miss kids are a dime a dozen, and for all sorts of reasons, 99 of 100 of them never make it. And so you start to hear about these can't miss kids like Aubert earlier this year. And not to be sceptical, you wish them all the very best. We need a next generation of stars and whatnot, but you're always a bit cautious about, well, look, let's see how it goes. Seem to have gone past that. He's gone to that next step. He's play at the Ryder Cup was worthy. The danger for him there was that he was going to have another last round at Wentworth where he just shot awful numbers and it could have been really destructive. He bounced back from that and played amazingly well at the Ryder Cup. Now, might have been a different situation if they were in America, but he's done it. It's under his belt. Could never be taken away from him, and I think he'll go on with it from here. Yeah. And it's good for the game.
The Sanderson Farms Championship is, of course, the tournament with the big Rooster Trophy.
Yes.
Yes. And
good week for trophies.
Good week for trophies. That was nearly going to be the theme of the introductions, I'll be honest. I just thought I'd run into troubles around some of them. So, this is back at the Country Club of Jackson, which was redesigned by John Fort as something of an ode to Donald Ross. Dogwood and Azalea Nines, familiar sort of names for anyone who watches tournament golf. Pretty enjoyable PGA Tour tournament venue. However, if you're not a high-level ball striker, maybe just pack the clubs and go home.
Will Bardwell, we all over this. He calls this the fifth major.
Yes.
And if it's good enough for Will, it's good enough for me. I'm all in this week. Sanderson Farms.
Yeah.
Go hard.
Okay. Outside of Aubert, you've got Emiliano Grillo as the highest-ranked player at number 36 in the world. Mackenzie Hughes returns to defend. Kevin Kisner's a bit of an interesting one. He took a couple of months off this year because his game was just not there. He's back and playing, made the cut at the Fortinet a couple of weeks ago. Okay. Akshay Bhatia is another one who's on the way up, maybe not on the same trajectory as Ludwig, but a very impressive player. On the Aussie front, Lucas Herbert heads the charge. Aaron Badley makes start number 501. Harrison Endicott and Cam Percy rounds out our contingent.
Interesting.
Greenie, some thoughts on the Sanderson Farms? Who's taking home the Rooster?
I'm going to go with Mark Hubbard.
Wow. Outstanding. This is you're on an elite trajectory. Wow. You're on Aubert trajectory today, Greenie.
Could be miscut trajectory, but I think he led last year going in the final round and then sort of crashed a little bit and finished tied for fifth. So I'm kind of going on experience from last year, which sometimes happens in these tournaments in the fall series. He had a tie for 17th at Fortinet a few weeks back too, so we'll give it a go.
Speaking on last year's form and stuff, the PGA Tour has made a change to their entry list, and you can actually toggle tournament form for every player that's entered into the field.
Oh.
So for your teepster people, Greenie,
there's a tip.
Life-changing. Life-changing.
So I will check that out.
Get around it. It is fantastic. I spent quite a bit of time on there yesterday. For me, I'm looking for a good ball striker, obviously, and a guy who was T5 here last year, Nick Hardy.
Nice work.
Also an Aussie connection. Gary Barter does a bit of coaching work with him. Really good player. I think he's a really solid player. Be a really good tour player for a long time.
This is your quintessential PGA Tour field, isn't it? They're all really good players. They can all play it. This is, you haven't got any of the big stars there, but it's not going to really affect that much the quality of the golf. You're going to see some amazing golf. I'm going to go with Eric Cole because he's been on what the kids call a heater.
He is on a heater.
Yeah.
And good usage.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah.
And another one trying to step out from a parent's shadow. Laura Ball's his mum.
Of course, yes, indeed. There we go. Eric's going to win this week, so good on you, Eric.
Eric, a prolific mini tour winner.
I'd spent years in the doldrums, didn't he, before?
Yeah,
he just came out of nowhere.
PGA Tour rookie at 30 something.
Bang! He's just been playing great. So good luck to him. And this is exactly the sort of tournament you'd love to see a guy like that win.
Nice. All right, let's move to Texas and the Ascendant LPGA Benefiting Volunteers of America. Over to you, Rod.
Well, as you've pointed out, it's a mouthful of a name.
It's a week of mouthfuls, I'll be honest.
But this has one of the best trophy-adjacent prizes in golf. Move over the Augusta Green Jacket. This tournament gives the winner a pair of cowboy boots.
Same as the Valero Texas Open.
No, not the same, because this is the LPGA.
But the Texas Open is my favourite of these things because they bring out a chair onto the 18th green
fit the boots.
And they make them put the boots on for a photo shoot, and it is not the most smooth transition.
No. Well, this is my concern about this. We don't know anything else about the boots. We just know that the winner, and we see photos of them holding the boots, but never wearing the boots. I'd like to know some more about the boots, and I hope we get to find out this week on the thing. Sponsor update.
Yep.
Ascendant National is a title insurer and the official title insurer of the PGA Tour.
There you go.
That blank look that I'm getting from you both is exactly the blank look I had. What is a title insurer or a title insurance? It's to do with land when you buy a home or homeowners. If there's any issues that arise with the property title after you've bought it, like what are the key errors made by previous homeowners and identity theft, you can insure against that. Must be a lucrative business because they can sponsor a golf tournament.
Greenie, that is the playing from the tips difference, where we go deep dive on who sponsors golf tournaments. You won't get that anywhere else.
This is actually an arm of Ascendant National that's doing this, so it's pretty in-depth stuff.
So you've wasted your
Pretty good field, pretty good tournament this one actually. Only started in 2013. It's been at this golf course for the last 5 years. The golf course is the Old American Club, and it's part of this 36-hole complex. It's a tribute. The other golf course there is called the Tribute. It's a tribute to a bunch of UK links holes. This one's more focused on sort of great American golf courses holes. They're not replicas. They're sort of this sort of paying homage, this kind of idea. Look, it actually looks pretty good, the golf course.
I think a fair few of the LPGA players actually play out of there.
Right, okay. Yeah, because a lot of them do live in Texas. A lot of international players
I think it's one of those places that a lot of tour players actually base themselves out of.
It feels really golfy. I mean, I'm not a fan of the homes around a golf course deal, but it's a big thing in the States, and that's quite big here too, and that's what we've got here. But I wouldn't be surprised if there was a lot of interaction with the players. It feels like a really golfy place. Low scoring generally. Charlie Hull, the defending champion, who would bet against her. She didn't have a great Solheim Cup, but who would bet against her. She sort of said that she liked the golf course when she won there last year, which I imagine you would. Imagine if you won on a tournament and said, actually, I didn't really like this golf course, so I'm quite surprised.
Trav Spice said a couple of weeks ago in Chinese Taipei when I first came here, I could not work it out and I felt like I would never go any good here, and then he won and came second the next year. So.
Yeah, indeed. She's one of 3 top 10 players in the field. Celine Boutier, Hyoju Kim, the other 2. Not short on big names, though. Lexi Thompson, Injee Chun, Leona Maguire, and our own Hannah Green, as you pointed out, played so well last week. Green's one of 6 Australians. Sarah Kemp, Karis Davidson, Sarah Jane Smith, Sue O, and Sydney amateur June Song received an invite.
Yeah.
Something's gone on there. That's for a 21-year-old from Avondale to get an invite to an LPGA event in Texas. There's 6 degrees of separation, which I would love to hear there.
June was at college in the States, playing college golf, and then has since come back, and I don't think is ongoing with it. Maybe she is, I can't remember. Doing journalism, I think, from memory. Okay. So she's obviously picked the right option of focusing on golf rather than becoming like us.
One's a dying industry, the other isn't.
But really good player, June. So
really,
yeah, absolutely.
Because the Australians, quite often their high performance camp go to the Woodlands in Texas, don't they? So, and a lot of the Australian players that play the PGA Tour live in Texas. It's a really central place. A lot
of the Australian women do. Minjee does.
Chalmers, Sentinel, both.
Absolutely.
Rod Pampley, I think, lived in Texas.
Yep.
There's quite a few because it's central. It doesn't matter where you're going in America or international.
The airports have become a hub in Texas. So
you can fly, I think, direct to Australia.
You can fly to Houston.
From Houston. So, look, so this is in Dallas. So look, it'll be a good week, interesting week. Good to see Sue O getting some starts. She was so-so last week. She hasn't gone on with it, Sue.
No, well, there's apart from Hannah, really, in that group of Aussies, they've all got a bit of work to do to try and get into that Tour Championship. Kiriakou, Davidson, Sue, and all that sort of stuff. Sarah Kemp's right on the bubble as well. I think Sarah Jane Smith maybe a bit back, so they've all got a bit of work to do with the last couple of tournaments coming up.
Yeah, indeed. Anyway, so look, it'll be good to watch. I'm tipping Celine Boutier. My reasoning is because.
That's pretty good reasoning.
She's a good player.
Greenie, can you offer us something that's got more behind it than just she's a good player?
I need a little bit. It's really hard to go past Charlie Hull for this one, I would have thought.
She's a good player too.
Yeah, she's a good player. She's a good player. Yeah, I've neglected to say that. Cheyenne Knight, I'm going to go with. She rookie in Solheim Cup and was really good.
I agree. I was impressed with her at the Solheim Cup. Really impressed.
Yeah, she was tied for 5th here last year. Did okay last week, the top 20 on the LPGA as well. So she's my pick this week.
I want to say off the top of my head that Cheyenne Knight might even be one of the ones who's based out of.
Could be. She's Texas. She's a Texas native.
Yeah, that's right. So
good player too.
Good player. That's what I've heard.
She's a good player.
I'm going to go with Hannah Green.
Yeah,
she will be disappointed with her last round last week, where she went in with a final round share of the lead and then went backwards. She's playing great golf this year.
Agreed.
Suit this golf course. And you could even get a Green Felton double this week, which they've never managed, which I'd like.
She's got a Bucks Party bill to pay too, so she needs the money.
Yes.
Jared's just sending her the invoices, surely. This is for you to pick up.
Finally, the International Series is back on the Asian Tour with the Singapore edition at Tanah Merah Country Club's Tampines course, I think it is pronounced. But probably not, so send your mail. The course has had a couple of redesigns, and most recent by Phil Jacobs in 2017. Sort of pretty typical of tournament venues in Singapore, cut from a bit of dense forest, plenty of water, big expansive bunkering, fairly familiar for anyone who's watched any golf tournaments in Singapore.
Really
Played
aesthetic, aren't they? They're big on the look. It's got to look like a big golf course.
including left of the ninth green, where you will see one of the biggest bunkers you've ever seen in your life with what they call, in inverted commas, church pews,
Right.
but are not quite pews. They're kind of maybe confessional pews. They're like the smaller version.
Individual pews.
Yeah,
Right,
individual pews, not the shared pew.
For all the
you get at
non-Catholics out there, you only do confession one at a time.
So I found that interesting doing my research. I quite enjoyed doing that research, I've got to say. Yeah.
I like it.
Players to watch. So there's actually quite a bit going on here. You've got 11 live golfers in the field, among them major champions Charles Schwartzel, Graham McDowell, Chase Koepka, David Puig, and our own Jed Morgan, who's joined by his brother Lincoln in the field
It's his
this
brother. I
week.
saw there were two Morgans. I didn't realise.
Yes, which is something that's happened a little bit with this sort of stuff. Those two are part of a 15-strong Australian contingent this week in Singapore. I'm not going to read them all out, but a couple to sort of note. Scott Hend, John Lyris, Brendan Jones, Trav Smythe and Zach Murray. But there is a lot of the regular Aussies who play in Asia, a few of the guys who get over their bits and pieces, Marcus Fraser and all that sort of stuff. So another good event to watch this week, in all honesty.
Agreed.
These international series have become a bit of a thing. It's good to see. You see a lot of the live guys, like who are the struggling ones, maybe a little bit, come back to play these, but also just guys who want to play some tournaments and stuff as well. So an interesting week. Then we got some thoughts on the winner. Let's go to you first, Rod.
I'm going to go with Sadom Kawakanjana,
Yep.
who I tipped several times in the last year or two, and he's never got up and done the job. But I think that this week might be his week. He's one of those guys, a bit like Jed Morgan, Trav Smythe and others. There's a real incentive to get to live and to get back to live. And they're those fringe players who are in that promotion relegation area. They've got a huge incentive. And, he and his Thai friend, Bakara Kongwatmai, great players and prolific winners locally in Thailand. Haven't quite converted yet, but if you can win in Thailand, you can get to that winner's stage at the next level up, and both of them have got the tools to do it.
I think I'm correct in saying Saddam is the one who recently went and underdid a Buddhist training thing for a while, and shaved the head and did all that sort of stuff, and came back with a real perspective. I saw an interview with him, and it was pretty impressive. So
Good
I like
player
that.
too.
You're a really good player. Really good player.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really
Same
good
with Pachara Kongwatmai. Greenie, some thoughts from you in Singapore?
I'm going to go with the Indian. My pronunciation might be wrong, but Gangajeet Bhullar.
Yes.
He's
Nickname Ferris. It is. His nickname's Ferris.
is that true?
As in Ferris Bueller.
That's fantastic.
It is good, isn't it?
I didn't know that. Sort of come back into some form with 3 top 5s in his last 3 events on the Asian tour. Can he get it done? I don't know. I'm not sure, but he's in some great form. He was, I think, top 30 here last year or something like that, but was pretty good in Taiwan last week. So he's my pick. We'll see what happens.
Gangajeet Bhullar win a Fiji International?
Oh, I don't believe so. It's not my recollection.
Okay,
But I could be
good
wrong.
moustache, Gangajeet Bhullar, by the way. And good ball striker, like really good
Great
ball
nickname.
striker. Yeah,
Great nickname, good player. He's no doorbell, Ginger.
Yeah, he's not. Thank you, Warren Smith.
It's got it. I'm with Wazza. It's the all-time greatest nickname in the history of any sport. The doorbell.
It absolutely is. He's shown up playing in Asia on occasion.
Has he?
Jen, yeah. For me, Trav Smythe on an absolute hot streak.
Yeah.
It's
A heater,
going to be
they call
tough.
it. The kids call that a heater.
Do they? It's going to be tough to keep it going, but he's been second, third. Different sort of golf course this week than he was playing in Taiwan the last 2 weeks, but he's one of these guys. He seems determined to take advantage of this international series promotion thing. He's playing really, really good golf this year generally, but particularly of late. Trav seems to have... He's not had bad years since he turned pro, but he seems to have really found what he had at the start when he was an amateur and he won that NTPGA and turned pro not long after.
I reckon a good deal of that is what you pointed to earlier and what you just mentioned there. He's learnt, which is the craft of professional golf. Doesn't matter about the golf course, the style of golf course, the grasses. He's learnt how to play all of it, and that's the difference.
Absolutely. And he's playing really, he's finishing and scoring really well when he's not always playing his best, which is exactly what you're talking to
You
there.
hang around that top 10, you get used to it too. It's
Absolutely.
pretty terrifying, rarefied air the first couple of times you get there, but he's been hanging around there and he's a legitimate name to mention every single week on the Asian Tour.
Absolutely is. Absolutely is. That's pretty much everything. But Greenie, before we go, you give us a little bit of a plug for Teepster?
There's a lot of leagues kicking off this week. They decided to start their Teepster season this week after the Ryder Cup. So, yeah, if you'd like to come along and start your own league, invite your mates, or there's the Teepster Public League if you want to join in and think you can pick the winner on the PGA Tour each week, jump on board.
It is that sort of tipping and fantasy stuff is good fun. I mean, we do it here, but people really enjoy that. So go get involved. Go sign up.
I don't blame them, actually, because it is a good way to stay interested in golf. There's a lot of noise around golf that's got nothing to do with the golf, and particularly the last couple of years with Live and all those kinds of things. Always noise about it. But if you're into just golf, really into golf, that's a great way to stay in touch with it.
European Tour coming soon. DP World Tour coming soon.
Very good. Exciting. Is that breaking news? Are we breaking that for the first time here? Look at that.
Yeah, I suppose it is. It is.
It's what journos do.
It is what journos do. It's that inquisitive questioning that I just hammered Greenie with there. Greenie, thank you for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks for having me. Cheers.
Rod, once again, you've been a pillar of the playing from the tips.
I've been called worse by better.
That will do us for episode 34 of Playing from the Tips. You can keep up to date on all these tournaments and more on the Golf Australia magazine website, golfaustralia.com.au. And we will be back next week on Playing from the Tips.